Rachel Reeves is steering Britain straight into economic calamity, one disastrous misstep at a time. Her tenure as Chancellor has been marked by blunders so frequent, they're beginning to blur into one uninterrupted crisis. But now, she's gearing up to deliver the most devastating blow yet. A blunder so monumental, it'll hit every taxpayer in the pocket.
In the last few days, borrowing costs have reached a 27-year high. And it's Rachel Reeves' decisions, her budget, that have taken us here. Before the general election, Labour promised they wouldn't raise taxes. They did. They said they would not fiddle the figures to borrow more. They did. They said they would grow the economy, but businesses like the one I'm in now are telling us that because of Labour, jobs will be lost. All of these decisions have made Britain more vulnerable. Survey after survey is showing business confidence collapsing. And despite all this, the Chancellor is missing in action. Her own anti-corruption minister, Tulip Siddiq, is under investigation and accused of corruption. This whole situation is a problem made in Downing Street because Keir Starmer's government is making everything worse. Rising borrowing costs matter because they mean life could become more expensive for millions of people across the country. People who have a mortgage or a credit card. The government needs to get a grip.
Since the general election, Reeves has left a trail of costly misjudgments in her wake. I stopped counting at 20, not because the list was exhaustive, but because the sheer scale of her incompetence was becoming exhausting. At the heart of it all is her failure to grasp a fundamental truth about Britain's precarious financial position. We rely on the kindness of strangers. As former Bank of England Governor Mark Carney famously put it, by strangers he meant the global bond markets, investors we desperately need on side to fund the government's runaway borrowing. Reeves and her boss, Prime Minister Keir Starmer, made the unfathomably idiotic decision to talk down the UK economy right after their election victory. This reckless rhetoric sent international investors into panic mode. Now, those same investors, who Reeves is counting on to fork over $300 billion next year, are demanding a premium for the privilege. Who could blame them? With Reeves in charge, a higher interest rate feels like self-preservation.
This is not the first time that it has fallen to the Labour Party to rebuild Britain. In 1945, it was the Labour Party that rebuilt our country from the rubble of the Second World War. In 1964, it was the Labour Party that rebuilt Britain with the white heat of technology. And in 1997, it was the Labour Party that rebuilt our schools and hospitals. Today, it falls to this Labour Party, to this Labour government, to rebuild Britain once again. And while this is the first budget in more than 14 years to be delivered by a Labour Chancellor, it is the first budget in our country's history to be delivered by a woman. I am deeply proud to be Britain's first ever female Chancellor of the Exchequer. To girls and young women everywhere, I say, let there be no ceiling on your ambition, your hopes and your dreams. And along with the pride that I feel standing here today, there is also a responsibility to pass on a fairer society and a stronger generation to the next generation of women. Madam Deputy Speaker, the party opposite failed our country.
Despite borrowing record sums, Reeves still can't make her arithmetic work. The inevitable consequence, tax hikes, sooner rather than later. If she doesn't jack up taxes this spring, she'll be forced to in the autumn. The numbers simply don't add up, and taxpayers will be left to foot the bill. The Treasury's bond sale today, A colossal one, the largest of its kind in over a decade, was a glaring example of Reeves's economic ineptitude. It came on a day when UK borrowing costs soared to their highest levels in 27 years, with 10-year gilt yields smashing through 4.7. That's even worse than the 4.2 debacle that ended Liz Truss's premiership. If Truss was a lettuce, Reeves might well be the whole rotten vegetable aisle. This is no accident. Reeves's tax and spend obsession has backed Britain into a corner. Just a few weeks ago, her fiscal headroom was a paltry $9.9 billion, minuscule for a piss $2.6 trillion economy. Thanks to her inflationary policies and wild borrowing spree, that cushion has now shriveled to less than sewn billion. We're balancing on a fiscal knife edge with no margin for error. Economists are already sounding the alarm. On March 26, the Office for Budget Responsibility is expected to conclude that Reeves will fail her primary fiscal rule. That would be catastrophic, borrowing at record levels, at the highest rates in decades, while the economy contracts. This trifecta of failure is entirely her doing. When Reeves inherited the economy, it was fragile, no doubt. But her predecessor, Jeremy Hunt, had at least begun to stabilize the ship, with economic growth returning in early 2024. Under Reeves, that fragile recovery has unraveled. The economy is now spiraling downward, and the only tool left in her box is the blunt hammer of yet more tax hikes. And here's the cruel irony: they won't work. Reeves's next round of tax increases will only confirm to the world what investors already suspect, that Britain is in even deeper trouble than anyone thought. The result? Bond markets will demand even higher interest rates, driving up borrowing costs further and plunging the UK into an even darker financial abyss. Rachel Reeves isn't just mishandling the economy, she's dismantling it, one ruinous decision at a time. And we'll all be paying for it on our next tax bill. And now, let's turn to Jess Phillips, who has threatened to shut down the X platform after controversies with Elon Musk.
I'm no stranger to people who don't know what they're talking about, trying to silence women like me.
Since he started posting about you, are you having to go about your daily life differently at all?
Yes, my daily life is currently different. I won't go into the details of that, but yes, it is. Being in the spotlight like this, and the intimation of what Elon Musk is, the disinformation, as I believe the Prime Minister referred to it as, has put out about me, it's endangering.
It's endangering you. I just want to be absolutely clear. Are you saying that as a result of some of Musk's tweets, that the threat to you has gone up and things are in place to protect your safety?
Yes.
How does that make you feel?
Resigned to the lot in life that you get as a woman who fights violence against women and girls. I've learnt that it's ups and downs in my life, but what it makes me know is that I have to just keep on going.
Is it worth it?
It's worth it to me only if we make an actual change. That's what's worth it to me. And if I had to go through all of this and I hadn't changed the way local areas deal with grooming gangs in 2 years' time, it wouldn't have been worth it. But I'm fairly certain that won't happen.
The fallout from a heated exchange between Labour MP Jess Phillips and billionaire tech mogul Elon Musk has escalated into a contentious debate over free speech, governance, and accountability. The row began when Musk, the owner of X, formerly Twitter, lambasted the UK government's decision to reject a national inquiry into historical grooming gang cases in Oldham. In a series of posts, Musk called the decision disgraceful and went as far as suggesting Phillips deserves to be in prison for her role as Minister for Safeguarding. Musk's intervention amplified the debate to an international level, but it also drew accusations of overreach. Prime Minister Keir Starmer condemned Musk's comments as irresponsible, accusing him of spreading misinformation and lies about grooming gangs and the government's response. Stormer, himself under scrutiny for his past role as head of the Crown Prosecution Service during periods when such cases went unaddressed, described the online vitriol as a distraction from the hard work of safeguarding victims. The clash raises broader questions about the role of social media in shaping political discourse and the responsibilities of influential figures like Musk. Labor allies, including Health Secretary Wes Streeting, have accused Musk of using his platform to undermine public trust and stoke division. Streeting dismissed Musk's remarks as a disgraceful smear, emphasizing that Phillips had spent her career advocating for victims of abuse. Calls for stricter regulation of social media platforms have resurfaced, with some Labour members suggesting that the government should consider legal action against X if it continues to host content they deem harmful or misleading. The debate now extends beyond the immediate controversy, touching on issues of free speech, the limits of corporate influence in politics, and the responsibilities of global tech platforms in fostering constructive dialogue. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment below with your thoughts. Like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel for more updates. Also, join the conversation on Telegram for exclusive content and real-time updates. Your support means the world. See you in the next video.